Hello, everyone. My name is Noah, or ThatDalexPik. Um, if you're going off my in-game name, these introductions are super awkward, and this is going to be a very awkward video. I do make an insane clutch in this Bedwars map. This is the first one I filmed, and my keybinds were all really weird, so I do get killed instantly. Spoiler alert. But anyway, today, I am going to tell you about one of the worst vacations I ever had. Not because it was a bad vacation, but because of the experience getting there and slightly getting back. Okay, so basically, uh, after my dad got his tax returns and a couple of years ago, I don't know, this was a while ago, he decided that we should all go out in the summer to California to go visit my brother and go to Disneyland and all of that fun stuff because he lives in Anaheim. So we did. In June, we decided that, okay, we are going to go to Anaheim to see my brother. And it was one of the worst vacation experiences I think I ever had. Um, so the first thing, I didn't really ask too many questions. I just kind of packed a bag. We got some air tags. First time they ever used air tags. That was fun to see them track it the whole time. We got on the plane all right. There were some small hiccups. We went to a Panera Bread. It was super great though. And I did some YouTube editing for a different channel thing because I was doing that anyway. Um, so everything was good. Everything was all right in the world. Until, um, when we got on the plane and sat down and I got out my little 12-inch MacBook from 2016, I wanna say, I started watching my movie. We had in-flight Wi-Fi, so that was fun. Uh, so we're waiting, and we keep waiting for the plane to take off, and it's not taking off. And eventually, we get, like, a little thing over the intercom, and they're like, "Hey, we gotta wait to clear out some traffic for the plane to go." And we're like, "Alright, okay, whatever," right? We do all the safety videos, all the safety instructions, everything is fine, the world is great, and then we sit there. At this point, I'm, like, almost finished with my movie, and I'm like, "Alright, what's going on?" It's been, like, over an hour easily. Um So, apparently, like, they had to shut down some runway because of something, I don't know, it was a whole experience. But what we ended up having to do is wait for over an hour and 20 minutes. Now, keep in mind, we live in, we live in Utah, I don't know why, Utah's a big state, I can say what state I live in. Um, we live in Utah, and, like, Salt Lake City Airport, which is a major airport, is, like, not super big, and it's not, like, bad, but we definitely didn't have enough, like, to prepare to sit for an hour, other than our Panera Bread. I don't know if that made sense, and then the other thing is it is not that far away from California, like, it's a 2-hour flight. So at this point, our flight should have been, like, halfway over. And it's getting dark outside, and we know because of the hour difference, it's gonna be, like, so dark there by the time we get there, but eventually we take off about an hour and a half, probably even a little more, it's probably like an hour and 45 minutes after we originally were supposed to, and we start flying. The flight luckily went well, and then I go and I whisper to my dad because 'cause I'm trying to, like, be quiet, "Hey, when does the plane land?" And, he was like, "Oh, it says, like, in an hour we'll arrive at LAX." And I said, "We're flying into LAX?" Because if you don't know, LAX is probably the closest thing we'll ever get to hell on earth. Um, I fly to California frequently, usually a couple of times a year, sometimes a little less, usually a little less, sometimes a little more. But I go to California frequently, or I'll, drive there or whatever. So I know LAX is one of the worst places. Like, there's not many airports worse than LA. I've never been personally to an airport worse than LAX. I'm sure there's some out there. I mean, there's obviously more out there. I'm sure JFK isn't super great either. Um, but when I found out we're flying into LAX, and neither of them had ever been to LAX before. That was the terrifying part because my stepmom was also there, but neither of them had been to LAX. So I am the best like suited one because they naturally assumed that I had been to LAX. And I'm like, no, I have never been to LAX because LAX sucks. And I know from the like two times I did, if you ever go to Anaheim, fly into John Wayne. I'm not a travel advisor, but I am smart enough to know that it's a lot less crowded. But yeah, LAX sucks. That's my little LAX rant. When we arrived in LAX, we couldn't find our luggage because it's a massive airport and we did not know where we were going. Um, so it took us about 30 minutes to find our luggage. And if you've seen one of my previous videos, you would know that I cannot like walk really well. Uh, so like my legs are killing me at this point. Like I cannot at that point specifically, I'm a little better now, but I could not walk for 30 minutes. Um, so it was an absolute nightmare. And we finally get our luggage though, and it's like, okay, maybe this isn't gonna be so bad after all, right? We get the rental car. It was like a Toyota Camry, because of course it was. That's what all rental cars are. And we start going to the Airbnb. Keep in mind, once again, I have been on Californian highways, and I know roughly where LAX is, and I know roughly where our Airbnb is. And I give them my suggestion of a route to go, and they do not listen, and that is all right. Until we got lost because they didn't know where they were going, and they got lost. So I was just kind of sitting there in the back of the car, like, I don't even really care at this point. I just want to be done. So we went and we eventually found the Airbnb. Now, all credit to them because I'm sure they tried to find a nice place, but that Airbnb seemed like a crack house. I mean, like there was like dirt on the walls and it was very old and like not well kept up. Um, so yeah, it just wasn't super great. There was no AC. We had, like, a swamp cooler, which I was fine with because I like swamp coolers over AC because 'cause I'm weird like that. Um, but, yeah, we got there, I went to bed, I had my Beats Flex because I didn't wanna take my AirPods on vacation. Everything was great though, and then we woke up in the morning and we went oh, I forgot, we had to go get, like, stuff because we were staying there a while, and we went to a Walmart, and they had never been to an LA Walmart or any Walmart outside of, like, Utah or, like, Idaho or whatever, and they did not realize, like, what sort of battlefield Walmart is in other non-Utah states. And there was, like, a guy with his pants down smoking weed, like, in front of the store, and they were all horrified, and I thought it was hilarious because I am uh, I oh, man, that's humiliating. I am very adaptable. I have adaptability, that's what I'm trying to say, and it did not faze me whatsoever because, once again, I go to California quite frequently. Um but we picked up some stuff and, they were horrified that they had to pay for plastic bags, which was once again hilarious because we don't have to do that in Utah, but our plastic bags also kinda suck, because they're cheaper made and not reusable. Except now some of them are, like Kroger's stuff is anyway, I'm getting off on another tangent. So, we wake up in the morning, we meet up with my brother. Our Airbnb was in, like, Long Beach, and which is, like, sorta kinda far away. But we go to Anaheim, we're in Anaheim, we meet up with my brother, we go to Disney, that was super fun, we had a lot of fun that day, and then that night, we're all kinda sitting there and we're playing, like, some games at his house, around his table, and he's like, "Hey, do you wanna just, like, spend the night here, you know, because you're already here, and why not? And we can go do stuff in the morning." And I am like, "Absolutely, get me out of that Airbnb." And my father's also kind of insane, which that's a whole other story we'll talk about. But I'm like, "Get me away from him, get me out of here." So, that is promptly what happened, and I went, and then I never went back to the Airbnb until the day we were leaving to make sure I had everything, because I just brought everything over. And apparently the day after, that night after I stayed at my brother's house, and I stayed there the rest of the trip, but they got lost and ended up at, like, the Anaheim Convention Center or something. It was hilarious, though, and apparently they have chickens, which that's a whole other story once again. Sorry, I know I keep saying that, but I can't get sidetracked, and their chickens got out. Um, but yeah, it was a absolute nightmare getting there, and then getting back, it was once again an absolute nightmare. Because we had that, I enjoyed my vacation. Apparently, there were some problems with the Airbnb. Oh, that's the other thing. They gave my brother, like, a bottle of I don't even remember what it is, some alcoholic thing. I think it was, like, wine or something, I'm not sure. I don't remember. It could be Czech Republic vodka for all I know, I'm not 100% sure, this was several years ago. But they gave it to my brother because they got it from the Airbnb, and then they gave it to him and claimed that they got it for him, and then I spilled the tea after they left, obviously. Um, and my brother doesn't even drink either, which is the most hilarious part. And obviously they didn't either, but yeah, my brother doesn't drink because I don't know. I've never seen him drunk, I've seen my sister drunk, that's a whole other story. Um, but yeah, so then going on the way back, we cleaned up everything at the Airbnb. Another side note, the TV at the Airbnb didn't work, like, at all. It was really slow with some old Vizio TV, and it was literally unusable, so I guess the moral to the story is don't get an Airbnb, but, yeah, the Vizio TV absolutely sucked, but when we were on our way back, we got lost at the airport multiple times, um, because once again, it's LAX, it's a nightmare. My father got detained at security because he refused to go in the body scanner because he didn't want them looking at his body, I don't know. He also did that or he didn't, after peer pressure on the way to California because he's weird like that. He's in some Facebook conspiracy groups probably. Um, but he got detained for a second, and he's also I don't know how to put this. Let's just say he's very political and very Republican Party of America. I don't know if that is giving you some hints, but let's just say he did not his culture and what he believed in did not go well with California. So he made a lot of remarks that offended people because he's that type of person. And yeah, it didn't go over well. Basically, he almost got arrested in California for committing hate crimes, but the vacation was super fun with my brother. We went to, like, the Grove, we went to LA and had a huge multiple day thing in LA. We went to, like, the Grove and all sorts of fancy stuff, but yeah, on the way back, he got detained, which was fine. I mean, not for him, but for me, I don't care. Um, and eventually we finally got on the plane. We had to wait in the terminal because it was delayed for, like, 3 hours. That was a nightmare. Thank goodness I downloaded more stuff on my computer to do. My little 12-inch MacBook carried that entire vacation. I missed that thing. I did sell it to Apple for more than I paid for it though, so I guess I can't complain, but maybe I'll get another one. Um, I'm trying to change the spray and I can't. Sorry, that's the first time I've commentated on this entire Bed Wars game. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to do better. Yeah, our bed's destroyed and I keep using Zoom for some reason. Um, but yeah, our flight was delayed multiple hours, and then when we finally were able to get on, uh, my stepmom was sitting next to me, and I'm very like I don't I like being next to people, but people I know, and I have a lot of anxiety, or especially at that time, not so much anymore. I do have quite a lot of anxiety still, but they offered a seat for free first class, and she literally, like, straight up was willing to leave me for it, which was kinda crazy. Not surprising, but kind of wild that, like, you would do that. Anyway, they're probably gonna get divorced soon. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's a whole other lore drop too. I have so much lore. Um, but yeah, so we finally got on the plane. We started going back. We arrived super late into the night. And then they didn't want to Uber to the airport for some stupid reason when we first started going. Because it's about $80 to Uber in like prime time, and they spent like 90 or 100 on parking. So there's no point for that. Oh, and they also, I didn't mention this, but my father was backing out of a steep driveway and he crashed the car and ripped off the entire bumper, and they zip tied and duct taped it back together right before we left. So and then they sold that car recently actually, but I'm surprised they even got money out of it. But we had to find the parking and they could not remember where it was. And I continuously, like, as they were planning this, was giving them travel advice, and they took none of it, and it would have all worked out better if they took all of it. But they did not do that, so that's on them. Yeah, but we finally found the car. We had to take, like, a bus out there, and we got on the wrong one, and it was just a ginormous parking lot, and we had to walk through, like, bunches of cars, and it was super late at night too. So it didn't necessarily work to our advantage. And my stepmom's sister, I wanna say, was working at the airport, and for some reason, they stopped and talked for a long time as I was, like, sitting there. Oh, here's my insane clutch. I TNT'd him as I fell off, and then, uh, I won the game because he blew up and fell off even though he knocked me off, because I technically did not die. He died first, because he blew up. And, in a second, yeah, it's gonna join because and I'll click the replay so I can show it to you. My gosh, you can tell I have bad internet in the part of the house I filmed this in. By the way, once again, I'm working on making all my content better and usable. I fixed the audio stuff, the first few videos won't have it. And then I'm gonna start recording in real time. Uh, but yeah, that was my fun little vacation. It wasn't super fun, and it was actually quite short, but, it was a fun vacation. Uh, you gotta make memories out of the good and the bad, and I am glad that I did make those memories out of the good and the bad. I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah, I'm glad it happened. I would definitely never do it again, and I would never travel with them again, even though I have after that and still deeply regret it. So, thank you everyone for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I'm just gonna show you that last little clutch, and then I'll see y'all next time. Peace.